Getting disciplined at work is a dreadful experience, but it's also true for the one who carries out the punishment. To relieve both sides, many companies use progressive discipline when addressing problem employees. The goal for each step is to effectively communicate what the employee did wrong and to help them in making solutions for the problem. This leads to positive working relations and a stronger business. Before we start the disciplinary process, we should determine if the problem is a misconduct or performance problem. If it's a performance problem, make sure the employee has been trained on the skills required for the job and fully understands his or her roles. Also consider if the employee had full control over his performance. He may be going through a tough or unfamiliar situation. If the problem is a misconduct, see if you can identify the root problem. We should also review the evidence against the employee. This will help you determine the appropriate actions to take. Before you send up a warning, first remind yourself always, all warnings should be spoken or sent in private. This is to protect your employees' privacy and reputation within the workplace. Compose your warnings calmly and without anger or resentment. Ask for the employee's input on each warning. The feedback should not be a mere formality. Instead, consider the employee's response a part of your investigation. At every step of the disciplinary process, write down records of what was said and when, and keep any copies you give to or receive from the employee. Have the employee sign a copy to show that he received the warning and understands the accusations against him. Schedule a meeting behind closed doors. Be firm yet approachable in your request. In the meeting, be sure to address the issue directly. Don't beat around the bush when you're bringing up improper or unsatisfactory performance. Make it clear that there is a problem, why it's a problem, and what you expect of them in the future. Communicate the company policies and let them know the consequences of violating them and what disciplinary actions you have at your disposal. Despite that, offer your guidance. Provide a goal to work towards. Offer him ways to constructively avoid similar problems moving forward. The goal of your written warning is similar to the verbal warning: to communicate what is not working and suggest ways to correct the problem. Make it clear what specific behavior or aspect of your employee's performance is problematic and why. Cite the specific company policies or laws that are being broken. They should know by now what needs to change. Refer to any previous verbal warnings you've delivered to the employee. Consider whether or not to inform the employee of the next step in the disciplinary process. This could serve as a good motivator for the employee to do better, but it might also come across as a threat. Whether you intend to deliver a final written warning or suspend an employee, the goal is to professionally state the lack of improvement from the employee and the risks it will bring him or her. Communicate what the employee has done wrong and how his or her actions violate the company's policies. Refer to any previous warnings, written and verbal, as well as any disciplinary hearings the employee has been a part of, to establish that they are well aware of the situation. Make it clear in no uncertain terms that the employee will face further consequences if his or her behavior or performance fails to improve. The appropriate punishment will vary depending on company policies, the staff handbook, and the actions of the employee. To proceed with a termination, first consult with the HR department. There may be existing guidelines in place for the process. For example, you may be required to bring a union representative to the meeting before terminating an employee. Regardless, depending on your business, you may be required to schedule the employee for a pre-termination conference. You may also have to write a letter informing the employee of his impending termination. Include in your letter a written record of previous disciplinary warnings, as well as detailed reasons for the employee's termination. After consulting with the employee and any other necessary parties, determine whether you should proceed with the termination process or impose a lesser penalty, such as another suspension or an additional performance review. If you're certain you want to proceed with the termination, deliver the letter and report to HR. You just learned how to apply progressive discipline in dealing with problem employees. For more info on how to prevent damaging legal cases, find out what Labor Law Made Easy is offering.